Something that I've discussed on YouTube a couple of times is this idea that the things that we are socialized with as children stick with us for the rest of our lives, right? And I've discussed this in the capacity of transgender people because I've pointed out how a lot of transgender women hate women, which at first glance is oxymoronic, right? Like that seems like it doesn't make any sense. But then when you stop and you think about the fact that transgender women were raised as boys and men, right? And we live in this patriarchal society that tells these people that they're better than women, right? Well, then it actually starts to make sense that even when these people get to a point where they identify as women, they hate actual women, right? It actually makes perfect sense, right? Now, I want to bring that conversation back up, but outside of the scope of transgender people, because something just crossed my mind and I was like, whoa. Now, it's easy for us to look at this, right, as it pertains to transgender people and realize how ridiculous it looks. Like, how are you identifying as a woman, but you hate women, right? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. And that puts into perspective how the things that we are raised with really stick with us like glue, even if it doesn't make any sense in the present day, right? Now, I want you to stop for a second. And think about how that may apply to you, right? Think about something that you were raised with that sticks to you like glue, right? To this day, you are steadfast in it. And the first example that I'm going to share with you guys, because this is the first thing that comes to my mind, is religion, right? A lot of people are only religious because they were raised religious, right? And it sticks with them. That's the reality. Now, I'm not trying to, cast no shade or, shoot no shots, at least not in this video, right? Because I know a lot of people are going to be offended. But realistically, if you were a Christian and you had been raised Muslim instead, or if you were a Muslim and you had been raised Christian instead, you would more than likely still be that other religion instead of the one that you are now. Because a lot of times it doesn't so much have to do with you actually resonating with that thing. It just has to do with what you were exposed to as a child and what you were socialized with, right? Now, again, religion is the example that I'm using, but that's not the only thing. I want you to take a second, pause this video if you need to think about something that you were socialized with that you are still like, yeah, I'm sticking with that. And the thing might not even make sense in the present day, but you like, I don't care. This is my thing, right? And I'm trying to make this point that, again, the things we're socialized with as children, they stick like glue. Now, the same way that biological males are socialized with the patriarchy and the same way that some kids are socialized into Christianity or Islam or whatever, right? That is the same way that white people are socialized with racism and anti-blackness. This is something that is taught to them as children, and it sticks with them for the rest of their lives. I just had this thought because I've been on Twitter the past few days and there's been all of this discourse surrounding what happened between Andrew Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony, right? So long story short, Karmelo is a black boy, Andrew is a white boy, right? They were at a track meet. They're high schoolers, okay? They were at a track meet and Karmelo was sitting under a tent and Andrew approached him and told him, hey, get from under this tent, right? Now, a scuffle ensued, and from what I gather, Anthony and his brother, they tried to jump Karmelo, and Karmelo pulled a knife out and stabbed Anthony, and Anthony died, right? Now, it's interesting to watch all of this discourse on Twitter because I see a bunch of white people, they're like, oh, lock up Karmelo, right? And there are black people responding, but this happened in a stand your ground state. Karmelo was defending himself, right? And black people are pointing out, hold up now, because wasn't the whole thing that happened with Trayvon Martin about stand your ground as well? Y'all swore that Andrew Zimmern or whatever his name is, right? He was justified in what he did to Trayvon Martin because he felt threatened, right? And even though Trayvon Martin was unarmed, you all said, well, he felt threatened and it was a stand your ground state. So there you go, right? So why doesn't the same thing apply here, right? Because now white people are saying, oh, well, well, why did he pull a knife out if the white boys were just fighting with their fists, right? But y'all defended Andrew Zimmer when he pulled a gun out, even though Trayvon Martin was unarmed. So, like, what? I saw white people posting pictures of Karmelo holding a gun in the house, right? And this is the thing, though. The original picture of Karmelo holding a gun in the house had, like, him and 2 other black boys and 2 white boys in it. But white people cropped the white boys out of the photo, right? And then black people responded with pictures of Andrew holding a gun outside. And then everybody was like, oh, well, that's different. That's different because Andrew was going hunting. And then the black people were like, well, 1, how is that different, right? But then 2, okay, let's say it is different because of the context. Andrew is outside going hunting while Karmelo's in the house or whatever, right? Why did y'all crop the white boys out of the picture in the house, right? Because you're not being honest at that point. You're just attempting to paint a narrative clearly. Then I saw white people saying, oh, Karmelo was looking for trouble. Why did he have a knife at the track meet to begin with? He shouldn't have had a weapon at the track meet to begin with, right? But then black people pointed out, well, Kyle Rittenhouse went to them protests with a gun. And when black people said he was looking for trouble, y'all said that he wasn't. Y'all said it was just, he just had it to defend himself just in case, right? So again, you see how white people keep attempting to paint these false narratives that are clearly not rooted in any sort of reality. Like, I saw a white person, I kid you not, they posted a picture of them, that meme format where it's like your picture slowly transitions into a picture of something else over 4 different pictures, right? And I guess they transitioned into a picture of a racist person or something. And they were like, yeah, this is me after stumbling across Black Twitter talking about Andrew, whatever his last name, Metcalf, right? And I'm confused because have you stumbled across white Twitter talking about any black person? Have you seen the memes they made about George Floyd? Have you seen any of this, right? But you sat there and pretended you didn't. And you sat there and pretended that black people shouldn't have been radicalized by those images in the way that you say that you're radicalized by these, right? When black people respond to your hatred with that same energy, suddenly you take on the role of the victim. You all have been posting foul-ass memes about George Floyd for 5 years, right? You all have been posting pictures of George Floyd literally getting his neck knelt on for 5 fucking years, right? But now black people on Twitter are giving you that energy back because some black people took that picture of George Floyd and edited it, right? So that Andrew is on the ground and Karmelo is on top of him kneeling on his neck, right? And now white people are up in arms. Oh, this is horrific. Well, now I guess you see how it feels. I guess it ain't no fun when the rabbits got the gun, right? I'm saying all this for a reason because it seems like I got off track. I'm sure y'all are like, what does that have to do with the socialization of whatever, right? Because I've been sitting here scrolling Twitter. I haven't even really been saying nothing. I've mostly been just, liking and retweeting other stuff, right? I've been sitting here looking at this and thinking about how this makes no sense. You telling me that white people sat here for 5 years posting pictures of George Floyd getting his neck knelt on and everything was good in the hood. But the minute that black people responded with an equivalent image, right? All they did was take the image that y'all were sharing and paste different faces on it. Suddenly y'all talking about, this is why I'm racist. I'm radicalized now. What sense does that make, right? But what really happened is you were racist off jump because this is something that you were socialized with as a child and it's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. But you're sitting here playing around trying to act like that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter how little sense it makes. You're going to sit here and pretend that it does because this is something, again, that you were socialized into and it sticks to you like glue. It doesn't matter how many times black people point out how contradictory you all are. You're still going to sit here and identify with this racism because at this point, it's just a part of who you are.